What's going on, guys? It's Brantzen, and today's video is actually going to be a little different than normal. Usually I write out a script and organize my thoughts before I record, but today I'm going completely off script. It is Wednesday and I want to get out a video by Friday, so this is my best shot at that. This session is going to be covering a recent day in which I made a really big mistake. So this is something that I'm very embarrassed about and nervous to share. So if you guys could support me, throw a like and maybe a supportive comment, I would appreciate it. And then the second thing I wanted to say is this Sunday, so in 2 days, I will be having a meetup game on Club GG. And so you guys can sign up online. The link will be in the description. I'll be playing low stakes, 1-2 and lower. So if you're not comfortable playing higher stakes, then this is the game for you. But yeah, I'll be chatting it up with you guys on message, and I'll probably open my own personal Discord so that we can chat on audio and you guys can ask me questions and just get to know me. So anyway, that's all I have for the intro. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Hit that intro. Oh no, hit that intro.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that I just don't like till, you know. Alright, we got the flush. Okay, he's got a set of eights. We got him. Hold.
Tell him he's got a lot of class, and it's all low.
I'm at my usual stomping grounds, the Gardens, playing 5-5, and I sit down with $500. And the first big hand I get into, I pick up 10 Jack of Hearts in the small blind. The low Jack and hijack limp. The button then raises to $15, and this is a pretty small open over 2 limps. It seems pretty weak, and I don't like calling from the small blind, so I 3-bet to $65, and only the button calls. The flop comes out Queen 6-8 rainbow. Now I have a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw, so I bet $60, and the button pretty much immediately calls. It's a snap call. And so I don't think he's going to have a set here because he would have probably thought about raising at least. The turn comes an ace, the ace of hearts actually, bringing 2 hearts. And so this seems like the perfect card to continue bluffing on. It's an overcard to the board, so if he has a queen, he's going to be put in a tough decision. And now I just turned a double gut shot with a flush draw. So I put on the pressure and I bet 190. I didn't realize he only had 270 in his stack at this time, but he ends up tanking for like 4 minutes. He gets the clock called on him actually, and then finally he makes an all-in for $270 total. I call, I have so much equity. The river comes in offsuit 6, which sucks. He shows Queen 9 of clubs and wins. And he actually said that the reason he called was because when I went to the table, I waved hello to a guy I know who was playing on the table, and he's actually quite a good player. So he actually said that because I said hi to a good player, he assumed that I was a more capable player and made the call. So I don't know, be careful who you wave to, I guess, guys. I'm immediately stuck $400, and the next hand I play is King Jack of Hearts in the cutoff. The +1 player opens to $15, and I've noticed he's opening very wide, so I 3-bet to $45 to isolate him, and only he calls. The flop comes out King 9-9 rainbow. He checks. I have top pair, so I c-bet to $35, pretty small since the board is paired, and he decides to call. The turn is the 3 of hearts, and now I have a flush draw along with my top pair. He checks to me, and even though I have the flush draw now, I think he could easily have king queen, possibly even a 9, so I decide to check for pot control. The river comes in offsuit 4, and he leads for $35. It's really small, but I don't really know what I want to do here. I debated raising just because it's so small, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to get value out of. Maybe like specifically King 10. I don't know what he calls a raise with that's worse than my hand. So I decided to just call this time. Sure enough, he shows King 10 offsuit. So maybe we could have squeezed in a little bit of extra value, but on to the next one. Now I have pocket nines in the big blind, there's a straddle, the cutoff limps, and the small blind opens to $35. In this spot, I'd like to do a mix of 3-betting and calling. This time I just call the straddle and the cutoff call as well, and we're 4 ways to a flop that comes 7-5-7 with 2 diamonds. The small blind continues for $75. I feel like he could have an overpair in this situation, but I can't let my hand go yet, so I call and the other players fold. The turn is the 2 of diamonds, bringing 3 diamonds on the board, and he checks to me. I check back, just looking for showdown at this point, and the river is an offsuit 5, double pairing the board. He checks, and again, I don't know what I'm going to get value out of if I bet, so I check. He shows ace queen off, and I win. All right, so after that one, we're building up our stack, and I pick up ace king off in the big blind. There's a straddle, the hijack makes it $20, the cutoff calls, and here again, guys, is a perfect spot to squeeze. We want a 3-bet here, and I make it $100. Everyone folds, and I pick up a bunch of dead money. Okay, so what do you guys think of this unscripted voiceover? Do you like it? Do you think like, oh, Brantzen's not actually that funny? Just let me know in the comments. But this next one, I have pocket 8s, the lucky snowman on the button. There's a straddle, the low jack limps, and the cutoff is my friend Mike. He opens to $30. A little background on him, he likes to limp a lot with speculative hands, so when he actually raises, he has a decent hand for the most part. I decide to call in position, the straddle calls, and the low jack calls as well. The flop comes 9-5-9 rainbow, and it checks to Mike, who bets $80. I think about it in this spot. I don't really like it because there's 2 people behind me, but I am in position, so I decide to call. I think if I was in the blinds, I would just fold this hand because of the 2 people behind me, and I'd be out of position for the rest of the hand. The other 2 players fold, and the turn comes the 7 of diamonds, which is actually probably one of the best cards in the deck for me because it's not higher than my 8s, and it gives me additional equity with a gut shot. Mike checks, and now I don't think he has a 9 at all because he would continue betting, and I decide to check back for some pot control. The river comes in offsuit 5, double pairing the board, and Mike now bets 125, which is less than half of the pot. And I'm thinking the 5 is kind of an interesting card to bet on because the flop came out 9-5-9 rainbow, and when I called his bet, I could easily have a 9 or a 5, and either of them gives me a full house here. So when he bets, I don't really think he has very many overpairs here because he wouldn't really want to bet those because if I raised him, he'd be in a really bad spot. So I think he more likely has a bluff, or maybe he got lucky with a 5, but I call and he shows pocket 4s and I win the pot. This next one, I have pocket aces in the hijack. There's a straddle and Mike limps from the +1. The low jack limps as well, and I am not about to limp. I raise it up to $50 and only Mike calls. Like I said before, Mike loves to limp call pre-flop. He loves to play post-flop and get tricky. The flop comes out king 9-5 rainbow, and he checks it over to me. This board is pretty dry. There's not a lot of great draws, and there's no flush draws, so I down bet to $40, and Mike decides to min raise me to $80. I think at this point, if he's ahead, then he's going to be way ahead, so I decide to just make the call, and the turn comes a jack completing the rainbow, and he checks to me. When he checks to me, I rule out a lot of his sets and 2 pairs, so now I'm thinking he could probably have like maybe a weak king, like king 7, king 8 suited, something like that. And so I don't want him to fold, so I bet 135, about half the pot, and he makes the call. The river comes a 4, and he checks. Now he only has about 270 left. There's no decision, but all in here. I hope he has a king, and we'll make the call. He tanks for minutes, and then lays it down, unfortunately. Later, he said he had something. I'm not sure what that means. Probably a king, probably a weak king, to be honest. But good laydown, Mike. Okay, so here is the hand that I am super embarrassed about. So hang with me here. I have pocket aces again in the button. There's a straddle, the low jack limps, and I make it $40, and both the straddle and low jack call. The flop comes out deuce 5-6 rainbow, and it checks to me, and here my first instinct is to bet, but I've been talking to some better friends of mine, and they say with aces and kings on these low boards to mix in some checks, that way I can have strong checks in my range. And also, I am never going to have the nuts here. I'm never going to have 3-4, and I'm hardly going to have a set here, while my opponents are more likely to have a set or even flopping the straight. So I check, the turn comes the 4 of clubs, bringing 2 clubs, and the straddle leads out for $60. The low jack folds, and it's on me. I under-repped my hand, and now there's a one-liner to the straight. I'm thinking, does he have a 3? I bet $40 pre-flop. He is in the straddle, but how many 3s does he really have here? I'm thinking maybe he has a club draw. So I call, and I think that's fine. And the river comes an 8. Now the straddle bets 170. So as you guys probably see, there's a second one-liner, and this should be an easy fold, but I don't know. I don't see it. For some reason, all I'm thinking about in my head is, does this guy have a 3 or not? This guy either has a 3 or he's bluffing. And I don't know. I just didn't see the second one-liner, and I felt so stupid. I debated for a long time. I was like, closing my eyes. Don't close your eyes, guys. Just look at the board. Read the board properly. And in my head, I thought, well, I don't know how many times he has a 3 that he calls $40 pre-flop. So I was like, I hope he has a flush draw that missed. And I decide to call, and he shows 7-10 offsuit. So he turned the open ender and then rivered the straight. But I was super embarrassed, and I don't know. I've never done that where I just didn't see something so obvious. It was right in front of my face. And after that, I was just so tilted. I played some more hands after that, winning some small pots, losing some small pots, but I don't know. I was really tilted, and I had to call it a night. It was just, it was really rough for me. Hey guys, so I ended the session, and yeah, I don't even know what to say. I probably talked about it in the video, but that was one of the most frustrating, most shameful moments I've ever had playing poker. I don't know, I misread the board. I didn't see that there was a second one-liner on the board, and yeah, it sucks. But I think it's important to show because I make mistakes, and I think part of poker is learning to minimize your mistakes, make as little of those as possible, really pay attention because yeah, that's what happens when you don't. And I should have folded, but instead I lit money on fire because I was so fixated on whether he had a 3 or not. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. Tonight I was in for $900. I started down 400 from that 10 Jack of Hearts hand. And then I cashed out for $980 for a profit of $80. So I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you in the next one.